the next 20-25 minutes, we are going to present to you, me and Thanos, delegation from the BDO, the co-designs with industry, new high-throughput routine services that we developed in the context of Streamline. So Streamline was a very nice opportunity to start this activity, to do this pilot of new high-throughput routine services. Michael already introduced a bit the context and what is important in this case. It has been co-designed with industry, but of course we are not talking only about industry, but also about academia, because the services will be available in a generalized manner. So this presentation will be divided in two parts. On my side, I'm going to tell you more about why we do this, why it's important, which were the motivation behind, and then Thanos is going to tell you more about how we did it and what we did with more details. No, the other way around. It was a nice. So the first question we're going to start everything is, in which way the SRF can contribute to industrial innovation? Of course, by contributing to the development of new products is one of the best way we can help industry, considering our genome of innovators and scientists. And so if we think about this, one first way to see the story is why don't considering the whole workflow that is about the development of new products. So you can see here that there are many workflows around, but this is one that start from the development of ideas, then build a prototype, build products, and then release the product, and finally improve the product. And when you look at this, you can easily see that the work that the ESRF is doing is not always the same. We're not attacking each part of this workflow or this value chain in the same way. The first 4 steps are more typical in the pre-competitive phase, while the second part is where we start with the confidential phase. And of course, for those different phases, we're going to deploy different instruments. Normally, the part 1 and 2 are very often dedicated, addressable, if you want, with academic access for publication. And we have industry using peer review access, not always confidential access. While, of course, the last part, the confidential part, is the one where we use confidential access. And likely enough, we have this instrument in place at the SRF. And when we go between the two, normally is where we have the space for long-term collaborative approach, grant catalyzed, which is more a newer part, if you want, on our job, where you have seen in recent years the BDO becoming more and more active in grant production and acquisition. Oh, sorry, this is the coffee break thing. And then if we think about this, when you look on the left of this slide, you can see which are exactly in terms of a company, the support we are going to do. But in the first part, of course, we are going to talk about process, product design, and optimization. While when we are in the last part, we talk more about accelerated discovery platform, what I call materiomics. This means, and benchmark, of course. This means more or less that everything we do in the early stage is more about ad hoc, in situ, operando experiment, low number of samples. And when we go down in the new product development, we talk more about routine service, more ex situ, large number of samples. So this is a general trend that we can see very often in the development of new products. Of course, as much as we go down in the process, the complexity of the experiment reduce, but what is improving is the standardization. So we move very much from a one shot to a large and better setup experiment. So when after this introduction, you could see very, very easily that I'm going to describe a system where we move from a one unique experiment to something that looks more like a service and more like a standardized approach. So I want to spend a few words now on the genesis of a service. Thanos is going to say something even more specific here. I just want to give you some general ideas. If you look at this slide, basically we try to summarize a concept that is not very, very commonly adopted. Everybody of you probably know already about TRL, technology readiness level. Very often, this is a point, very often we always concentrate when we think about maturing a new services or a new technology on this side of the chain, where we basically go from the idea to the prototype, then we have the validation of the prototype, and then the valorization. All this set of activity is basically specific of the technical side of the work. But there is another axis of all the story that is equally important and sometimes not so well, if you want, framed and structured. That is the market readiness level. In the market side, we go from the ideation to the testing to the introduction of the market and the growth. That is where we make all the money. And the two sides cannot be separated. Imagine, if you only follow the TRL side, you would end up with a very bad idea of having a product that is very well developed and no market. Basically, nobody knowing you, zero sales. Of course, would not be very nice, even if we go in this axis, because it means we are going to intercept very good needs. We are going to create expectation in the public, and we're not going to deliver the product, which is an instantaneous deflation and a catastrophe for our company. So if an introduction and the preparation of a new product is made in an healthy way, normally those two should advance hands in hands, more or less linearly. Now, each kind of product has its own line, but if we think about the synchron, after a bit of thinking, and I can give more details if someone wants, or maybe there will be something written a bit more formalized that can happen in the future, but we are following more or less this path. This means that we have something that is technically very advanced. We go more or less to TRL2. At some point, we realize that we have to communicate it a bit, so we go, then we move, then we start developing all the prototyping and etc. And then at some point, when the prototype is done, we try to catch up the market. And once the product is on the market, then maybe the market is even asking more, and we go into this phase. When we are more into this part, we call about technology push. Means that we have the technology and we try to convince people to buy. When we are here, we're more in the market pool. And if you see how this curve is happening, we can say that our kind of services are more or less always more in the technology push way, which is intrinsic of our business. And if we think about this, also the people involved in this venture are different. When we think about the initial step of the development, it's more the scientists that are going to be involved. And then the scientists eventually leave the places to the engineer. But since I told we don't have to forget this axis, also the business developers are important. And this is the reason why you see that this experiment we're going to, this first pilot, two pilots that Thanos is going to describe more in details today, are the results of this very organic way and this very organic system where scientists work very close to engineers and the business developers on our side play their role in order to define the specs with the industrial partner and try to push the product and find the first beta customer and the first adopters. And we hope that then at some point we can go even further. So if you want, with me here, we can, oh, sorry. Here we can imagine, oh, I pointer, sorry. Here we can imagine that are sitting in the beamlines. Here is more Yves territory or Andy territory. And here, of course, is the BDO. So if we go one step further, we can also imagine which way we're going to use to fund this kind of activity. Of course, here we stay in our core business, is what we do for living, what is our mission. When we go in this part of the territory, we're a bit out of our comfort zone. We're a bit out of what is the business as usual. And this is where external funding become important. And eventually, after TRL 7 and MRL 6, we go into an area where we need income and private funding, okay? Of course, Streamline was our champion here. We have other projects that try to do more or less the same. Today we talk about Streamline, that is really covering this place and finding this positioning. Here, if we trust the previous description, is where our services are sitting, where we took our idea when we started Streamline. We were more or less at this level with an MRL2 and a TRL4. And thanks to Streamline, we could increase this up to a TRL much higher, and of course, increasing the MRL. with the work of the BDO and in particular of Thanos. And if we think about what's going to happen after, of course, we will need a bit more of software engineer, a bit more of mechanical engineer, a bit more of business development, and how we're going to finance this. As I told you before, now we are in the private territory. So it is where, obviously, a private partner would be beneficial. And this is our partner, Momentum Transfer. It is this company that has been set as a spin-off of BSF that Michael was describing, and then Thanos is going to tell even more. So if you're okay with me, I hope that I convince you that there is a relevance in making new services because they're useful for industry. There is a way and the logic behind building a new, let's say, service that is involving a lot of people. But let me talk about why high throughput. There could be services not high throughput. Why the high throughput is important? The high throughput is important because I'm now realizing that this is the wrong presentation. Really, it's not the single one. Exact, so it's that one, right?
No, that's me close up now.
Okay. No, it's a pity. So, okay. This one, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I go down. Perfect. And yeah, you couldn't read the title, which was the same, always accelerating discovery. Very exciting. Everybody wants to accelerate discovery. So if we think about this chart, when we put on the vertical one the number of samples for the unit of time and on the horizontal the experimental complexity, here is more or less where we sit with all the experiments that are at the beginning in the stage. You know, what we do in TRL 102, proof of concept, early stage of characterization method. When we are working well and when you are passionate and we see that there is an involvement, very often this moves into more complexity. The more complexity is very often more in situ, operando method, ad hoc experiment setup. But we can also move the other way around. And this is the high throughput screening, materiomic, statistical methods, standards. This is where we sit with what we are doing with momentum transfer, with this high throughput XRD, high throughput XRF that we are developing. Of course, you can easily imagine what is going to come after that we didn't see already happening, but I can tell you that we have some project already funded by the European Commission where we have ambition to go there. And this is, of course, the complex in situ operando routine experiment. This is absolutely the next trend. And what does it mean doing this? Why we do this? The famous question, why? We go from static to dynamic to statistic to holistic. Why? Because we want to increase fidelity. This is all the thing. When you move from ex situ to in situ to statistic to operando statistics, it's just because you want to increase fidelity. And why you want to increase fidelity? Because you want better advanced modeling and eventually digital twin, which is one of the big keywords in this moment. And if you think about this added to artificial intelligence, what you get is the accelerated discovery, which is exactly the mantra today for industry, in particular about accelerated discovery platform and all these kind of things. Okay, for now I finished. I hope I will explain the why, and now for the what and the how. Thanos, the floor is yours. And the camera.
Thank you, Ennio, for the introduction. So my watch says 130 beats, shows my excitement being here today or the stress level. So Ennio prepared the floor for, he explained to us the why, and I'm going to talk to you about the what we have developed during the Streamline project, and most importantly, according to me, how. So I will start with the first one of the first services that we have developed during the Streamline, which is the high throughput X-ray fluorescence. It's a service that provides rapid and accurate elemental analysis for a wide range of samples. It is a service developed at BM23, co-designed, co-developed with the University of Montpellier and Professor Manuel Munoz that we see in the photo. And for the moment, we have a capacity that system can run autonomous for 4,000 samples. Manuel Munoz also, how we can do that actually, this 4,000 samples. We have developed the here the the plate. So it can host up to 100 samples, which can be in a pellet format. And then each sample holder has a unique QR code. We can prepare up to 40 plates. And then the robot reads the QR code, generates a unique folder for each sample and where all the data it is stored. And this can run for, I think, more or less 2 days. So Manuel Munoz also brought us the first industrial contract, which is around 20,000 samples. And for this particular experiment, the acquisition time was 30 seconds. Of course, we can go faster, it depends on the concentration of the material, which leads us to 160 samples per hour. The second service that we have, new service that we have developed during this high throughput, during the Streamline project is the high throughput powder diffraction, which again, it's a service that provides accurate and comprehensive analysis for crystalline materials. So this is a project developed at ID31 in co-designed and co-developed with BSF. This service has an autonomy, can run by itself for 1,000 samples, because we can store 66 sample holders, which is in this case are different. 16 samples can host up to 16 samples this sample holder. So here you have the sample holder that enters with the 16 sample. Again, each sample has a unique QR code. All the data it is generate a folder, and all the data it is stored there. The whole system vibrates during the measurement in order to increase the statistics, and this is what you see here in that video. The project, the service, it is, so we have a target of acquisition time 1 second. We have succeeded. Currently, the experiments are running between 6 and 8 seconds. There is room for improvement. That leads us to around 300, 400 samples per hour. The service, it is available since the beginning of 2023. And so since then, we have performed more than 9,000 measurements. And we have 6 unique clients using this service. And of course, they have the highlight that it was quite a lot mentioned today, the generation of the creation actually of this startup, which is a spin-off of the Momentum Transfer, which is a spin-off of BSF. So I started this presentation with what, probably to capture your attention, but now I would like to talk to you about how we did it, which again, I think that's important because there is a methodology, there is a strategy that can be used also for the new services, for the new products that we are going to develop in the future. So there are several steps, and we're going to see them quite briefly, what each step has. So the design, it's where the idea is generated, where's our motivation. Is there where we decide what are the objectives of this new service. So we define the specifications and we start drafting the technical documents. And this is more or less what Ennio talked before. So our motivation, it is, let's say, efficiency, reproducibility, quality control, and so. The second step for this, how to launch a new service, it is the business analysis. In order to develop a new service, we have to be aware if this service fits in the market, if the market is ready for this service. And of course, so we need to do a market research or the market analysis. And once we do this market analysis, we are also have to see about the competitors. Is there anybody else in the market doing what we do? If yes, how they do it? And this is briefly a presentation of the market analysis that we have done for the high throughput powder diffraction. I'm talking specifically for the powder diffraction, but it's the same process, the same methodology that we followed also for the fluorescence system. So the big circle represents how big is the market. And by market here is all the people doing powder diffraction measurements. Then we can narrow down to the market that can uses or is tending to use synchrotron for those measurements. The solid circle is our current capacity, meaning that with the available the shifts given from ID31 for these measurements, which is 1 every second week. So this is and the time that the acquisition, the samples that we do per hour. This is our current capacity. We can easily expand to this dust circle. Again, if we reduced it to 1 second, or if we decide to provide more beam time for this particular service. And this is how much our current clients represent in terms of the entire market. We have also done some self-assessment tool just to identify or to measure how mature is this product or this service, to understand our strengths and weaknesses. So clearly our strength is our technology, the unique value proposition, and of course the people at the SRF, and to see if there is some opportunities. All of that, it was done due to this study, due to the Horizon Result Booster, which is a European project that provides free consulting for every European Horizon 2020 project funded. And it gives the possibility to the dissemination plan, business plan, or go-to-market plan. So, and we have done it for the Streamline. Now, knowing if the market is ready for this service, we found that there are some competitors in the market. Actually, me personally, I found it while doing this market analysis. And this is the system built from Anaxam, which is a technology transfer center founded by PSI. They were a bit in advance. They have started before us. And this is how is our system installed at ID31. To my knowledge, there are only 2 facilities, 2 devices that can provide in the world that can provide that service, this large amount of samples. There is something in Australia, if I'm not wrong, but I couldn't find the number of samples per hour. So again, to be checked, but it seems that there are the only 2 devices in the world, which both of them now are at the SRF because PSI is shut down. And the idea is that Anaxam generates a second device that stays here at the SRF in the future. Then, now, once we have done the business analysis, we have to go to the development. The development can be divided in several smaller groups. So we need to be clear about the service. So what is the service? What we provide to industry, which is how we deliver that service. And of course, we have to mention the infrastructure and the technology that we use. And with this will help us to determine our pricing policy. So that for me, it is one of the critical steps before going out and selling our products, our services. Because if we want to have a service from A to Z, at least for the high throughput system, is that it can be divided in 3 main categories, which is the sample preparation, the data acquisition, and the data analysis. So the question here is that we want to have something that can be useful from our users, academic or industrial users. And then we have this difficult question. So who is going to prepare 1,000 samples? That's a question that we, for sure, ESRF said, no, we are not going to prepare 1,000 samples. Of course, we are not going to do the data analysis of 1,000 or 10,000 samples. So ESRF clearly positioned here. So we are at the data acquisition. And this is where was the gap in the market where BSF and then the spin-off are understood. And this is the added value of the spin-off, the momentum transfer. So that startup is taking care of the sample preparation and the data analysis of the measurements performed here at the SRF. So once we are clear about which is our service, what we provide to our industrial or academic users, we can have a service description. This is actually what we have developed since 2 years now. We provide a document to our users explaining what we do, how we do it, and also it has a pricing policy, which is a price per sample. Then we have to go to the testing, which includes the prototyping. We have to conduct some pilot experiments with small users, a small group of users. And we have, of course, to take their feedback, to change, to iterate, and so forth and so on. So, excuse me. So the testing, this is how the device had developed. So we started with this. I was not even at TSRF when the idea was to use the robot at BM5, and that was the plate that the powder could be stored. This is the prototype device based off the feedback that we had from the company, and this is how the device looks now. Then that's one of the first videos that we were that we call it teaser. Johannes, the sound. So that's the first video that when we were trying to see how the sample holder moves inside the device. The second would be a messy with the sound now. We were testing the QR code reading. That was 90 milliseconds. The time to read the QR code and move to the next sample. And based on the numbers that I have from Johannes, we have done even more than 10,000 cycles to see how robust is the measurement. And the third video is that we were testing the sample changing, how it fails, when it fails, or not fail. It doesn't fail. Here we have some information about the motor, how the sample holder looks, and here is the semi-optimized process to prepare the sample holder. This is the first commissioning experiment at ID31. Bernd Hendriksen, the founder of Momentum Transfer Sacrifice, his iPhone, put it inside in the beam. So the first 6 samples were scanned, and then we changed the distance of the detector to perform measurement at higher resolution. That's obviously going faster. It's about 1 second measurement, which is, as I said, now we are about to 6 to 8. Of course, this service, to be useful for industry, we need good data. And this comes from the feedback from the company. So at that moment, we were collaborating with BSF. So we were testing the same samples here and in the laboratory, and we do the comparison, which clearly shows that we have a high resolution and less noise data. And also, again, here, that's the superiority of our measurements. And also, we see that in the lab, they had these contaminating peaks that we didn't see at TSRF. Once we do the testing, the prototyping, the iteration, we have to go to promote. We have to go out and talk to people about our new services. And this comes to the promotion and the marketing. So the business development office, although being a small team, we are doing a number of events. So we are participating in conferences, business-to-business meetings, on-site visits. Only the 2024 we had 6 companies came at TSRF. We perform workshops, technical days. So approximately, to give you numbers, it's 20 to 30 events per year. And if we have for the last 2 or 3 years, and we have minimum of 10 people at least touching in that base. So easily, the last 3 years we spoke about 1,000 people. We are using all the possible communication channels. This is actually what Chiara takes care of it. We use the SRF website, social media, mainly LinkedIn, the website of Streamline, and of course, we can also use other European projects for dissemination. And we have developed communication and marketing material that can be used from our scientists and also from our team when we go out to talk to people, like the roll-up that we see there, have videos, what we upload on YouTube, presentations, roll-ups, and so on. Yeah, I didn't want to cover this sound, but you already heard about the Streamline Tour. Okay, yeah. So you already heard about the Streamline Tour. That's initiated last September, and next week is the last event. So we have done 12 events in a short period, 7 countries, and we spoke to approximately 200 people about the new services developed during the Streamline. I'm closing, going with once everything is sorted, the design, the business analysis, and all the development is ready. So we are ready to launch this new service. And of course, launching a new service, it has to coordinate with the marketing campaign. This is actually what we did last year with the Streamline Tour. And we have to monitor it close and then getting into account the feedback that we get from the companies and foreseeing the future, the improvements for this service. So current situation and further steps. So this service, it is available since the beginning of 2023 to our industrial and academic users. We have one dedicated shift every second week at ID 31. We have a collaboration agreement signed with BSF, which states that ESRF owns all the IPs for those developments. We have under preparation a collaboration agreement with Momentum Transfer, which is the spin-off of BSF. And we have this Aerom Transfer project that is funded, and it starts in a couple of months. It's a collaboration between DESI, BSF, and ESRF to upgrade to have the version 2 of the current device. And at the end of the project, DESI will have a copy of our device installed in their beamlines. I'm finishing this presentation. What we see here in the top of this pyramid, it are people, partners, and teams. So for me, that's very important. And I would like to thank all the people. I'm pretty sure that I definitely forgot people here, but it's a teamwork. So we are not a one-man show. It's not only BDO. It's like a beamline behind that. It is communication team behind that, companies. So I would like to thank all of those people, and of course, thank you for your attention.